Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Yes, so today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 17th September 2021. Okay, let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, so these are the important developments. What we'll do is, first of all, let us take overview of all these articles. We'll understand the context of these articles and relevance to our syllabus, mains as well as prelims examination of these articles. Okay, so first of all, mains related articles. On page number 6, yes, the analysis of relief cum reform package that has been recently given by the government of India to telecom sector companies. Okay, so analysis is given there. At the same time, there is one more article talking about tariff increase crucial for telco's survival. Analysts. Okay, so we have included inputs from both articles. We will understand and analyze this particular reform package for the telecom sector, whether this package is sufficient or what further measures are required. Okay, then on page number 1, there is new announcement by the finance minister. Government sets up bad bank to clear non-performing assets mess. This is important from GS3 paper economy part. What is bad bank and how it is going to work out, all these aspects important GS3 paper economy part. Then AUKUS, Australia, UK, US trilateral defense partnership or security partnership that was recently announced. The analysis of this partnership is given on page number 11. This is important for GS2 paper international relations part. Specifically prelims related development, on page number 6 there is one article talking about eShram portal. The article is not specifically important for our examination, but for this eShram portal, basic information is important for your prelims examination here. Okay, so what is this eShram portal and what are the criteria for registering the workers from unorganized sectors? All these aspects, some factual information is important. Then CSTO, Central Security Treaty Organization. So what is this particular security organization, which is also called as Eurasian NATO? So there is context on page number 11. Mr. Putin, Russian president, is going to virtually address this particular meeting of this organization. So that's why it is in news. Basics about this, which are the members, when it was formed, all these aspects are important. Then on first page, Delhi Mumbai Expressway, that diagram is mentioned there, or we can say map is mentioned. So we'll understand this basic information about this expressway, how it is going through different states of India and how it is going to further enhance or boost the transportation sector and ultimately the economy. Yes, finally practice prelims MCQs on today's current affairs. So first article, delaying the inevitable, or there is one analysis saying that tariff increase crucial for telco survival. Yes, let us understand this. Yesterday we talked about the announcement of this relief cum reforms package. What is this package regarding, let's say, first of all let us understand AGRs, what are the issues here. So adjusted gross revenue, AGR means adjusted gross revenue. So there has been bone of contention between the government or DOT, Department of Telecommunication of Government of India, and these telecommunication companies over the calculation of these AGRs. According to DOT, this AGR includes both telecom, or we can say revenue from both telecom services and non-telecom services also, up till now we can say. And this was bone of contention. Telecom let's say companies, they were arguing that it should not include the non-telecom companies, right? This AGR basically includes two important aspects, is spectrum usage charges plus licensing fees. Okay, so together it is, let's say, AGR, and it is in addition to that DOT had added non-telecom revenue from non-telecom services like selling of the assets by these telecom companies or investment in other such assets and revenue from those assets. So basically the telecom companies were of the view that this AGR should include only revenue from telecom services only. And now through this reform package, there are, let's say, various reforms undertaken and relief is given, like 4-year moratorium on paying this AGR dues. So company can opt for this. In this basically the moratorium is there, but not, let's say, waiver for any kind of interest payment. So for these 4 years also they have to pay the interest on those dues. Second aspect we should understand here is that the definition of AGR will not include revenue from non-telecom services of these telecom companies. Okay, so this is important pending reform. Then we can say that no additional spectrum usage charges for next auction. Okay, so they can continue the same charges, no additional charges for next buying of new spectrum through the next auction. So such kind of measures are taken in this relief cum reform package. Now let us understand the impact. What is the possible impact? Surely we need to first of all understand that few years back the telecom sector had huge competition. Many stakeholders or private players were competing with each other, but over the period of time, small telecom companies, let's say, got merged with the large ones, or they stopped their services. And at present there are 3 important private player and 1, we can say, public sector. Which one? This BSNL is there, and in private, according to, we can say, the number of subscribers and the holding of the company, basically the Jio, Reliance Jio is there, then Airtel, Bharti Mittal, and the third one is, we can say, Vodafone Idea. So it got merged recently, Vodafone and Idea companies. So at present these 3 are there. Basically through this relief cum reform package there is no impact on this Jio or Airtel, because they hold the large, let's say, subscriber base and the revenue is good for them. So paying AGR dues is not problem for this, but the large AGR dues are remaining for this company and some of the other small telecom companies. Okay, so major problem is this one. And now Vodafone and Idea company, surely this company will have some kind of freed up capital so as to ensure more revenue and remain in the competition with these 2. Okay, so this is the possible impact, but we have to analyze this possible impact critically. How? Because these are not game changing reforms. Basically recently Vodafone head has announced that it is not going to further invest in telecom sector in Indian economy. So that means Vodafone as well as Idea, this company Vodafone Idea, is not going to expand its working or services in India. So in future we can again expect some merger or buying of, let's say, stakes in this company by other company. Okay, so this is not going to be the game changing reform, you can say that. At the same time, the change in the definition, up till now what happened is, let's say the tariff reduction in a predatory manner by Jio company. When Jio was launched 5 years back, we all have, let's say, enjoyed the services, free services of internet given by Jio company, and in this manner it created the wider user base in India, and because of that the other companies' services stopped, its subscriber base reduced, and now automatically it has increased its charges. So basically this is let's say the strategy used by any large company to enter into new domain, right? So the Jio company has also done the same, and when it reduced the tariff at low levels, the other companies were not able to compete with Jio, like Vodafone, Idea and even Airtel. But Airtel to some extent had more revenues or profits, and because of that it was able to compete, but the other two companies, they were not able to compete with such low prices of the services. Okay, and because of that what happened is its subscriber base reduced. We all have experienced that, right? And because of that also it is not able to invest in more expansion of its services. Second thing, we should understand that there is no low, or we can say that no fixed lower charges. Okay, so at minimum charges a particular service is to be provided. This is not fixed by the government or regulator. Okay, and because of that these companies, large companies, they have reduced the amount that is required for providing these services, and the other companies are not able to, let's say, compete with them. So what is required at present is need to increase the tariff. Okay, so when the tariff is increased, automatically the revenue will increase. But these large companies, first and second one, they will not be immediately increasing the tariff. Why? Because they do not want to lose on their subscriber base, right? So this is the major concern for other companies, and because of this in future we may expect duopoly, monopoly and duopoly. These two important concepts we know about this. Monopoly is, let's say, one single large company having the dominance in that particular sector. Okay, so generally such kind of monopoly is was seen earlier in the heavy industries sector, but now we can say that the due to opening of the Indian economy during 1990s, LPG reforms, there has been entry of private players, and now there is open competition. The duopoly means two such major players competing with each other, and small players are not able to compete with these large two players, right? So duopoly, here we are talking about Jio company and Airtel company in telecom sector. So in future we may expect that these two only survive in Indian telecom sector. Okay, because we know that BSNL is also facing many problems in terms of revenue generation, inefficiency, all these aspects are there. But as it is public sector undertaking, unless and until government takes such harsh decision about, let's say, privatization, disinvestment, we can expect continuing of BSNL working. Okay, any question?
Sir, why the government is going to be giving the more option to the private sector? It's a heavy revenue generation point, sir, in telecom sector. The remaining sector holding, lossless sectors are holding the government, and revenue sectors are going to be releasing to the private sector. It is a one type of drawback for government revenue.
See, government is not able to generate revenue, that is drawback, or we can say that the AGR dues are pending. But we have to also understand that there is need of healthy competition in all sectors of economy. When there is monopoly or duopoly, then what will happen? There will be some kind of, let's say, the customers or the final consumers, they will not be able to have appropriate prices or for these services. Because in future, when there will be duopoly, there will be nexus between these two companies and they will artificially increase the prices of these services. So focus, the government is right now focusing on competition. Yes.
If the present two sectors are going running, sir, if they continue the same level of the future, they will give the fixed prices. They will not give any chance to bargain for the people.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
it is pressure on that. Even government also not able to control on that.
Yes, yes. Already Jio company and Airtel company has grown into such large companies and they have, let's say, huge stakes. So basically, because of that, what will happen? There will be some kind of, let's say, when these companies will decide any kind of, let's say, prices for their services, they will not consider into the government or the stakeholders, that is the consumers, their interest. They will only focus on their profits.
Actually, the present one of the logic is running, sir. I think somebody has observed or not, I don't know. Every person is getting 12 months salary, sir, but every person is paying 13 months telecom bill, sir.
Every person?
Every person is getting 12 months salary, sir, per year. But same person is paying 13 months telecom bill, sir. Example, 28 days is validity. If we combine the total entire year, it will come 13 months, sir.
Okay.
This type of drawbacks will come to the
Yes. That is not month. Actually, they are, let's say, giving the package of 84 days, 28 days, right?
Yes.
And because of that, you are saying.
But basically, every person is getting only annual salary, so not 13 months.
Yes. Salary, that, we will not compare that to salary, but yes, they have their own strategy. Okay. Earlier it was 30 days, but now they have reduced to 28 days, 14 days, 84 days. Okay, I don't know what are the details about why they have framed like that. Because once Jio company frames, the other companies face pressure to frame in the same manner. This is actually how the competition works. Otherwise, they will not survive that competition.
Sir, same prices of BSN also is limited, but why they are offering to the more private sector only now? If the government sector has been stopped to the permission to the private sector, automatically people will shift to the government sector now. Same facilities is available in BSN.
Yes, there will be facilities, but what about customer service? Whether we have good customer service from BSNL? One connection of let's say broadband connection of BSNL and broadband connection of suppose Jio Fiber or Airtel, which customer service will you be satisfied here? The BSNL will take 10-15 days, 1 month also for the broadband connection to process that application. And these private companies in one day, one single day or within 24 hours there will be connection. So basically we want customer satisfaction, private companies are providing that. Though we can understand the charges of the BSN companies may be less but the problem is customer service. This is actually the problem of PSUs. Okay. Yes. So moving on to next article, government sets up bad bank to clear the NPA mess. Okay. Yes. So this is good development. Already our finance minister had announced that bad bank will be established in the union budget itself. So now it is announced, paving the way for major cleanup of bad loans or NPAs in the banking system. The cabinet cleared 30,600 crore guarantee program for securities to be issued by the newly incorporated bad bank for taking over and resolving non-performing assets amounting to 2 lakh crore rupees. Now, how it is going to work out? Okay, so bad bank is that bank. Basically, it is, let's say, a terminology which is given to asset reconstruction company itself. However, asset reconstruction company is not immediately providing, let's say, paid up capital or some kind of, let's say, cash for those revenues or assets. Basically, the bad bank, what it will do is it will acquire those bad assets from the bank, and it is now going to provide about 15% of that amount. 15% of that amount, the money, it will be given to the banks, and then remaining 85%, let's say, the value of these assets, that will be further strengthened and sold in the market. Okay, so as to, let's say, generate more revenues. The Reserve Bank of India is in process of granting license for the National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. This will be acting as bad bank. Okay, National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited. Following which, toxic assets worth 90,000 crore rupees that banks have already fully provided for will move to this bad bank. Okay, so the cabinet's decision to extend 5-year guarantee for this bad bank issued security receipts to banks completed the entire cycle of cleaning up India's banking system that began with recognition of extent of bad loans in 2015. So basically, it is going to be more effective way to solve the NPA problem according to the government. Okay. Under the mechanism, this bank will acquire assets by making offer to the lead bank. Okay, which is lead bank? Basically, try to understand any company, when it is borrowing loan, it is not borrowing from one bank, rather it will borrow from 3-4 banks. And largest amount of loan that is borrowed from one particular bank, that will act as a lead bank now. Okay. And that lead bank, from that lead bank, the assets will be acquired by this bad bank. The private sector asset reconstruction company may also be allowed to outbid this government led bad bank. So there will be bidding process. Okay, so the one which will provide more amount of money, this lead bank can sell those assets to either this bad bank or private sector asset reconstruction company. Okay, so in this manner we should understand that. Separately, public and private lenders would combine forces to set up an India Debt Resolution Company, IDRC, that would manage these assets and try to raise their value for final resolution. So basically, these lenders together later on will form a separate private sector asset reconstruction, India Debt Resolution Companies, and that would manage these assets and try to raise their value in the final resolution. Right, so in this manner it is going to work here. So 15% amount will be given upfront by this bad bank to these banks, and remaining 85% for that purpose, this guarantee. Okay, so it is going to provide the guarantee to these banks that in future they will be repaid appropriate amount. Okay, so in this manner we should understand. Further analysis will be there tomorrow or in next week. We can expect the analysis in the editorial page about the bad banks. Yes. Now, AUKUS. Yes, yesterday itself we talked about this trilateral security partnership between Australia, UK and US, especially for Australia to acquire nuclear powered submarine technology from US. Okay, so how it is going to impact different stakeholders or different countries like US, UK, Australia, New Zealand and the France, from which the Australia earlier was supposed to buy the traditional submarines. Let us understand that. Yes, for US, we can understand that already US has withdrawn from the Afghanistan, and now it is shifting its focus from the emerging rival in Indo-Pacific region, that is China. So it wants to increase its presence, and it is doing that through strengthening its allies like Australia, India, Japan, South Korea. Okay, so this is positive development for US, and it is strengthening its allies in Indo-Pacific region. For Britain, after Brexit, it want to, let's say, assert its position in the world politics, and therefore part of that assertion will be increased focus towards Indo-Pacific. So for UK also this is good development. Yes, Australia, under the arrangement, Australia will build at least 8 nuclear powered submarines using US expertise, while dumping a contract with France for diesel electric submarines. Okay, so experts say that nuclear submarines will allow Australia to conduct longer patrols, give the alliance stronger military presence in the region. This is good thing. At the same time, France. Now France is angry here. Australia told France it would end its contract with the state majority owned DCNS company to build 12 of its world's largest conventional submarines. Now France is furious and demanding explanation from all sides. Okay, so the negative impact on France. New Zealand, left out of all alliances is Australia's neighbor New Zealand. It has long-standing nuclear-free policy that includes ban on nuclear-powered ships entering its ports. That stance has sometimes been sticking point in otherwise good relations with US. Okay, so New Zealand is having this nuclear-free policy, and because of that US is not directly cooperating with New Zealand here in Indo-Pacific region. Okay, so in this manner we can analyze this GS2 paper mains examination IR section. Now specifically for prelims examination, on page number 6 there is one article talking about eShram portal. eShram portal has been, let's say, devised by Ministry of Labor and Employment. This portal, especially after the migrant crisis last year, we have observed this portal has been announced to collect the data about unorganized sector workers in India. Okay, so yes, Ministry of Labor and Employment developed eShram portal for creating national database of unorganized workers. Remember this? Then who can register this eShram portal? So criteria is he should be unorganized workers, age should be between 16 to 59. Remember this factual information for prelims examination. 16 to 59. That means adolescents are also included here. Okay, it is not 19 to 59. It is 16 to 59, and the person should not be member of EPFO or ESIC or NPS, government funded we can say pension systems. Okay, now who is unorganized worker? Any worker who is home based worker, self-employed worker or wage worker in unorganized sector, including worker in the organized sector who is not member of EPFO or government employee will be called as unorganized worker. Now what is required for registration, documents and all? Aadhaar number is required, mobile number linked with Aadhaar, and savings bank account number with the IFSC code. Okay, so this information is important for prelims examination. We can expect question this year itself. Now, CSTO, collective security. In the earlier part, I have incorrectly mentioned this as central, rather it is collective security treaty organization. Okay, collective security treaty organization. So it is a Russia-led military alliance of 7 former Soviet states that was created in 2002. So you can see in this map the members I will outline here. Russian Federation first, second Belarus, third Kazakhstan, then fourth Kyrgyzstan, fifth Tajikistan, and sixth Armenia. Uzbekistan was member, but now it is not member. Okay, Uzbekistan, let's say, became the member in 2006, but then withdrew its membership in 2012. So at present there are 6 members. Remember the names: Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russian Federation and Tajikistan. Collective Security Council is the highest body of decision making, and every year there is meeting of heads of the government and presidency rotates in this particular grouping. Main purpose of this grouping is to ensure the collective defense of any member that faces external aggression. Basically it is called as Eurasian NATO. So NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, how it protects, let's say, all the members of this grouping, and USA leads that grouping. So here also Russia wanted to create such kind of grouping to give protection from the external aggression to its erstwhile we can say regions. So we know that USSR included all these countries in the earlier, before 1990s, before disintegration of USSR. Now Afghanistan and Serbia holds the observer status in CSTO. Afghanistan, we know at present developments are going on in Afghanistan. It has, let's say, observer status in CSTO. Okay. 15 projects in pipeline to decongest Delhi roads. Okay, so which are these projects? Yes, so major project we are talking here is Delhi Mumbai Expressway that will reduce the time travel to just 12 hours. We are expecting completion by March 2023. Okay, so you can see that it is passing through Delhi, Haryana, UP, then Rajasthan, MP, Gujarat, Maharashtra. 6 states. Okay, now wildlife protection measures taken: 8-lane tunnel in Mukundra Sanctuary and Mathiran eco-sensitive zones. This is good thing. Animal overpass for unrestricted movement of wildlife. Then 8-meter tall boundary walls and dedicated sound barriers for animal safety. Alignment to minimum impact to Ranthambore Wildlife Sanctuary while passing through this region. Ranthambore Wildlife Sanctuary is located, or National Park. Tiger Reserve is also there, right? So in this manner, some salient features you should remember. It is going to connect with the JNPT also, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, this major port. It is going to connect the Jawar port in UP also. So in this manner, it is going to connect important, let's say, export oriented locations as well as industrial locations. This particular expressway will further give boost to industrialization along this expressway. Industrialization as well as urbanization. In this manner, we should understand the significance. Those who are having geography optional subject, they should surely mention this in whenever we are talking about transportation sector. You can use the example here. Yes, what should be answer to this question? Okay, so in this options, it is not mentioned. Okay, let us see what the question is talking about. E-Shram portal registers workers satisfying certain conditions. Which of the following are correct conditions among them? So just now we talked about there are three conditions. Yes, first one, unorganized worker, this is correct. Age should be between. Now I have specifically mentioned here, it is not 19 to 59, it is 16 to 59. Such factual let's say things can be mentioned in the government schemes and such kind of, let's say, inputs. Already UPSC has asked such question when it has changed age structure, okay, for any, let's say, beneficiaries for the government schemes and all. So there can be changes. So here the age group is 16 to 59, okay, and then it is not the member of EPFO or NPS. This is correct statement. So answer should be 1 and 3 only here, not all of this. Okay.
As per the Government Labour Act, there is no registration below 18 years.
Registration
Registration of anything under below minor age, you are not able to register anything. And then how we can able to enter that?
Yes, this specific portal has been created in this manner. There are many, let's say, adolescent worker on the in the, let's say, service industry or construction sector. Do you know about this? Service industry is there. We can say that those industries which are not hazardous, categorized as hazardous industries, there the adolescents are working. Especially most of them are working in an unorganized sector, and that's why the specific age group is added here. Some of the benefits of the government schemes are going to be provided to that age group also. Okay.
It's directly government is encouraging that minor
See.
labor. It's not useful to the department also.
Rather than promoting, first of all it is recognizing, first of all it is understanding the ground situation by registering these people, whether they are working. Okay, if they are working, then further measures can be taken by the government. The data about them is not available with the government. Major problem is this one, right, at present. So the focus of the government at present is to collect the comprehensive data in the unorganized sector. Then further the measures can be taken. Already the progressive measures have been taken. Okay, so like Child Labor Act is there, it was amended in 2016. Okay, and now in future we can expect such kind of, let's say, in future we can expect measures wherein the age can be further increased to 18 years of age and complete ban on work to that age group. Okay, but we can understand that those opting for vocational education after, let's say, 8th standard, vocational education, after 10th standard they are allowed to work and they are working actually. Okay, so this is actually, that age group is 16 to 19 or 18, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so that's why it is included. Fine?
So rather than getting these portals, the other is a simple way to add the employment option only. To getting the total entire country data, to give a additional option to the employment option. Is the total entire data will be coming within 1 month.
Already that is available, right? So employment data through the employment portal is already there, but we are not able to capture the data in the unorganized sector, and this was visible from the, let's say, last year migration that happened, migration crisis. Basically this portal is on the voluntary basis. Okay, so those workers who are working in unorganized sector, they can voluntarily registered on this portal, and when the government is having the data about them, in future suppose there is any crisis that is happening, any, let's say, social security benefits in future are supposed to be provided to them. So directly government can provide it with, let's say, the account number is also there, mobile number is also there. So this is good thing, right? This is part of social justice.
Yes, sir. Disaster time it will be more.
Yes. So focus at present is this one. Okay. Any other question? Okay. Let us stop then. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.